Hello, everybody. Again, this is Cheyenne Jenvey with the author, who is the author of Dragonflies Demons. Thank you for joining me on my podcast, Dragonfly Discussions. Today is November 11th, 2025, and we are going to begin chapter 4. After a long 3 chapters of a lot of hard stuff, we are going to be going into some happier times. Before I start, though, I always read a couple of things in the comments. Welcome to my podcast, Dragonfly Discussions. You're welcome to enter your name and location from where you're from. I am thrilled you are listening, and I hope you enjoy this session together. Also, a safe space reminder. Please use your own safe space parameters around the chapters I read, which may arouse emotions or memories of your own. You are welcome to excuse yourself or stay. So completely understand. It's recorded and you can watch it later when you're ready. But I just went on a beautiful hike today. I live in Fresno, California, and there is a trail called Brown's Ditch Trail. It's an old PG&E flume that was built centuries ago, and it's just really beautiful to get outside. If you can go hike, if you're able, get outside, get outdoors, enjoy what you have around you, because it is beautiful out there. And I'm so glad I went. And also, happy Veterans Day. I just want to, it's a Veterans Day, right? Sorry. Yeah, I thought so. Veterans Day. So thank you for everyone who has served our country, has served in any capacity. I appreciate your service. I don't have the balls. I didn't have the balls. I wouldn't have the balls to serve, but thank you so much for your service. And I hope you're having a great day today. So we are going to be going into chapter 4. Like I said, we just got done with chapter 3, which chapter 3 is loaded. It's a whole synopsis of a 10-year drug addiction that started when I was 28 and it ended, 18, and it ended when I was 28. So at 18, I started drinking, smoking pot, getting into crank. It turned into methamphetamines. Then I quit that. And then it turned into heroin and cocaine. Then it started, and then it got into shooting heroin and cocaine. Then it got it into arrested and in and out of rehab, in and out of jail. So chapter 3 ends with me being finally arrested. And it was an answered prayer because I needed to be arrested. I was done. I was sick and tired of struggling out there. I knew I wasn't meant to be a drug addict, and this was not the life that I wanted to live. So here, my boyfriend and I are running from the law. He's a parolee, and I'm a probationer. So we're running from the law, and they catch us, and we're arrested. So now you're going to see from the moment of that arrest and then on forward to where my life is pretty much now. So it does get better. So we are at chapter 4. The title is Arriving with Him. Subtitle, Jail Pain, page 126. The back seat of a cop car can be very uncomfortable. Yes, it is. And it's even worse now. They have the plastic, barricade between you and the officer, and it scrunches your legs. You have no leg room. You are cramped. Plus, you're handcuffed, and it's like a plastic seat because if you urinate, throw up, or whatever, they can easily just spray the back seat of the car. So no more soft seats. None of that. That went away a long time ago. So imagine your hands tightly handcuffed behind your back. With even the slightest movement, that cuffs get tighter and tighter, cutting into your skin around your wrists. That is so true. They might not have it so much now, but they didn't. It gets tighter if you mess with them. So you feel cramped, and the hard plastic of the seat is uncomfortable on your butt. It's uncomfortable on every part of your body. You almost feel pinned with no leg room behind the plastic wall cage that separates you from the officer in the front seat, whom you can talk to. So it's kind of like got holes and you can talk to them. As I was en route to jail, I asked the officer to please take care of my cat Mojo, who was on his way to the local animal shelter. So we had my cat Mojo. I don't have a picture of him. Oh, no, I do. Here's Mojo. That's Mojo. And then that's me at 28. And we were living in an apartment right there in Clovis. And yeah, that's my little black kitty, Mojo. So Mojo was in the car with us. We took him with us, and I was really worried about my cat. He promised me that he would make sure that Mojo's papers would mention putting him on a special hold. I asked if he could be on like a 30-day hold. Let me get my shit together and help my cat somehow. Or he would be placed up for adoption or possibly euthanized. That was always a risk, that anytime an animal goes to a shelter, it could get euthanized. I thanked the officer, and so my jail time began. Once again, I had probably acquired a rap sheet a mile long. I was in so much trouble by this time. I had offense after offense after offense, breaking probation. Now I'm running from the law. So, and I was sure the officers all knew me by then. They did. I had a high school friend who was an officer. He knew me. He saw me in jail, gave me a big old lecture. I'm not sure if it's now. Can't remember. I think we already talked about it. I don't know, but it was horrible. So I'd gotten arrested so many times that the environment was normal to me. Although at the time I was apprehensive because I was about to start going through heroin withdrawals. I was going to get sick, really sick. And I was not getting out anytime soon. So here I am about to go into jail, and I'm going to kick heroin, which if anybody knows what that's like or has heard about it, it is the worst. You feel like you're going to die. You really feel like you're going to die. And you don't want to do it in jail. You want to be around people who love you, where you can shower, have peace, go to the bathroom, sweat, cry, walk around, shake, do everything that you need to do, and also have medication too, because at rehabs they would give you Benadryl to help you sleep. You don't get Benadryl in jail. So let's see. So I'd gotten arrested so many times that the environment was normal to me, although at that time I was apprehensive because I was about to start going through heroin withdrawals. I was going to get sick, really sick, and I was not getting out anytime soon. I knew I wasn't getting out tomorrow. There was no paying my way out or bailing my way out. I was in real trouble and facing a more serious prison sentence now. Mark was also facing prison again, Mark, my boyfriend, and no other choice. So that's his real name. And he's passed away, and I know I have permission, but even if he was alive, he would give me permission. But Mark is his real name. I don't use real names pretty much throughout the whole entire book. Well, I use my step family and all them, but Milani, but most of the other kind of different situational things, I'm using code names. So Mark was also facing prison again, and with no other choice. And I was facing, let's see. Yeah, I was in real trouble. Mark was going to be put back to prison, and then I was going to be maybe going back to prison. So he was on parole, which was a higher level of probation. You're not on probation, you're on parole. Once you get released from prison, you get placed on parole. Yeah, so once you go to prison, you no longer go back to probation. Probation's like the step before prison. If you go to prison, you're always labeled an inmate. Well, you're labeled an inmate, but you're labeled a prisoner. Like, yeah, you have parole. Like it's more serious. It's just more serious. Mark had been to prison before, meeting me at CAP, and was on parole for prior charges. So Mark was a lot older than me. He had 13 years, my senior. He was so handsome and so young and so wonderful, but he was a lot older. His addiction was a lot longer than mine. So he had wrapped up quite a bit of trouble, just like I was on my way to. So it meant Mark was going straight back to prison. So probation, you have a little bit of leniency. I wasn't quite facing prison yet. I was still all in jail. But Mark definitely had been to prison, so he was going back to prison. I knew I would never see him again. Yeah. We were really over forever. That broke my heart, and I cried for hours in jail over the thought of never seeing him again. He was probably the only boyfriend that I really truly loved, and really truly loved me, actually. Like, I know we had our addiction together and everything like that, but he took care of me. We had so much fun, and we just got along really well. And I'd say our love was probably the most pure love I've ever had. Yep, here he is right here. There he is. He's so handsome. Okay. So I couldn't see it then, but it was a blessing in disguise. It was as if God reached down and stretched his hand out to me and finally grabbed me, answering all my prayers. I grabbed my mattress and the free commissary bag of hygiene products and walked towards my cell. So what I mean by that promise prayer was just before we left our last place and we decided to go on the run, I went outside and I just talked to God, and I was just like, please let us not be doing this. Let us not be running on the run. Please, this is not what I want. And it was my heart of all heart prayers to be caught. And so being caught was the answer to my prayer. It really was. And it continued to be. Okay. Where was I? Okay. So now I'm arrested, and now I'm going through the intake process. So the intake process is when you get down to the Fresno County Jail. There's an underground. They take you underground. So all of Fresno Street, the courthouse, the jail, there's all underground tunnels under all of that. All this parking, all the cop cars are under there. A lot of them. There's cells, jail cells down there. There's a long hallway that goes all the way from the old jail down to the new jail. That's a long hallway that you have to take all your shit, all your your mattress and the stuff that they give you for free. But you stay in like the processing first part for a long time. Like those holding cells, the drunk tanks. Oh my God. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And then I've been on the old jail and the new jail. So I know both. That's how bad I got it. But I know both jails. Like the new jail, I remember one time I got to stay in a cell up there, and it was nice, but it was tall and like it was like a prison almost inside. But the old jail it had more light. I don't know, and it had different outdoor stuff. But none of it's fun. I'm not trying to glorify it. Okay, so I grabbed my mattress and the free commissary bag of hygiene products. So you got like a razor, you got a toothbrush, you got a comb, then you got a roll of toilet paper. You had to undress, of course, and put on their bra and underwear and their jumpsuit, which was, I think for us, it was like this dark green. And then these flip-flops and socks, all your jewelry's off, everything. And all that's given for free. So let's see. I was never put in a cell alone. So you never got like your own cell. They were meant. Oh yeah. So if you got your own cell, it was because you were crazy or you went 5150. But most of the time, you're always put in the general population. I always had to share a cell with 10 to 15 other female inmates usually. And I don't mean any offense by using the word inmate. I now have changed my vernacular to say incarcerated people, because I can see why that would be not a cool word to use, but I never took offense to it, so please don't take offense to it. The cell gate opened, and I soon found a place to lay down my mattress on the top bunk. So again, I'm heroin sick. I've been used a lot of heroin. My habit at this time was probably $100 to $200 a day. Yeah. I was already so heroin sick that it was hard to lift my heavy and bulky mattress on the bunk. So you always wanted a bottom bunk. Everybody, well, some people wanted a top, I guess, but I never wanted a top bunk. But I had to go on the top bunk. As I began to struggle, the other inmates noticed that I was very sick and gave me a lower bunk. So I want to just point out the magic that's already starting to happen just in the first few hours, 24 hours of me getting arrested and after that prayer. Okay. And how God really, if you don't believe, you got to believe for my story, because I was an agnostic. I had very questions about God and all of that. And I wasn't even sure. I kind of felt like he abandoned me. Like, why is my life turning so bad? And I just didn't want to live this life. So these are the little drops of miracles that started to happen in my life. That was just amazing. So they offered me a lower bunk, which never happens. That never happens. Nobody gives up their lower bunk unless they want something from you. But these girls were very, I don't know, it was very beautiful. It was very rare. So they also began to help me get settled in. They did. They knew I was sick. And I thought it was odd that they were caring for me so much. Then I passed out from exhaustion and being heroin sick. The next morning was rough as I woke up and tried to make my way to the toilet. Again, you're shitting in front of everyone. Excuse my language. You're going to the bathroom in front of everyone. There is no curtain. There is nothing. There is your pot, and there's tables, bunk beds, and that's it. You're doing it in front of everyone. The shower did have a slight curtain, but it was still very small. You couldn't do crap in it. And it was hard not to expose yourself, or just, it was very humiliating. So, and then when you're dope sick from heroin, you're throwing up a lot of times. You have diarrhea a lot of times, because what heroin does is it kind of like sedates your whole entire body. So you get constipated a lot. It sedates your abdomen, so in your bowels. So, and you're really not eating a whole lot either. So you don't have a lot. But when you're dope sick, it all just comes out. Like you're sweating, you're pooping, you're vomiting, you're shaking, you can't sleep, your bones and joints ache. Oh God. It's the worst. It's the worst. So I woke up and tried to make my way to the toilet. To my surprise, I wasn't nauseous like usual, but I did get diarrhea and felt very weak, which was typical. So that already too, I was like, this is odd. I'm not more sick. I should be a lot more sick. The other inmates noticed my strange demeanor, but according to the rules of the jail, you look out for yourself and stay out of the other people's business. So I appreciated them giving me or doing whatever, but I didn't take advantage of that. I didn't go into the cell acting like, I'm the shit or any of that attitude. I was very humble and quiet and just watched my back. However, those female inmates were very kind to me, which I wasn't used to at all. That's not the norm. Then I went back to bed to endure more of the withdrawals. I fell asleep again. It felt like I slept so much. I was truly exhausted. I really was. The jail bed provided just enough security and comfort to rest my head. So basically, and a lot of people will go to jail or get arrested or stay arrested, whatever, because jail provides a home, a warm bed, a shower, a toilet, food, 2 times a day. So, you know. So here we are, page 128, subchapter Godsend. Later that day, I was visited by someone from a program. It was the same program that I had seen in church. So Mark and I went to a church not too far from where we lived in Clovis, and they were a Christian church. And in came this group of girls, and they were talking their testimonies and sharing about the program that they were from, and they were successful. And here I am sitting high. I was going to church high. My boy Mark and I we were faking it as best we could, right? And then here these people come in, and I'm trying to have some kind of, understanding or an effect. So it was the same program that I had seen in church, New Life for Girls. So that was the name of the program, was called New Life for Girls. And it still goes on. It's still thriving in Pennsylvania. So I'd seen them in church. This was in chapter 3. I talked about it. But now somebody from that program is visiting me because we had friends at the church and they knew I was in trouble. So they visited us and shared their testimonies a while back. So Dee Dee and Chris, which were friends of Mark and I's from the church, somehow called the program and asked them to interview me. I was taken into the visiting room, which is a row of metal stools bolted to the floor and a short counter to lean on with a phone to your left behind a very thick glass wall that separated you from your visitor. I sat there waiting for my visitor, not knowing who was to appear, because I'm like, my dad's not visiting me, my stepmom's not visiting me, my grandma maybe, but I had no clue. Then a brute of a woman walked in through the door. She exuded a look of toughness that I had never seen before. Her name was Donna. And if anybody from New Life for Girls is listening or will listen, we all know who Donna was from the Fresno New Life for Girls intro. Donna was tough. And she was from the New Life for Girls program to interview me. So she was like a manager or someone high up in the staff level who had access to go into jails and interview them to see if they were serious enough for the program and wanted help. I got denied Delancey Street in San Francisco because they thought I needed to go experience more, and I did. So let's see. She explained to me that this wasn't how things typically happened, but she felt like she was led by the Holy Spirit to take the interview request. So you had to apply, you had to be on the wait list. It wasn't like you could just get in. So this is another miracle. I couldn't understand what that meant. So she was telling me, she's like, the Holy Spirit told me I needed to take this interview. The Holy Spirit gave me this message. And I'm thinking, I don't know what you're talking about, lady, but you might be crazy, but I'm going to take it, whatever you got. I couldn't understand what that meant, but I accepted it. She began to ask me questions about all the legal trouble I was facing and asked me if I was really done with drugs. So you have to be done. So Delancey Street denied me because I wasn't done. I really wasn't, and rightfully so. But I was done. I told her what I was up against. 2 years in prison, possibly more. And I began, because I'd already had a 2-year lid hanging over me. So this offense now, running from the law and now violating probation, is going to add more time onto my 2 years. So, and I began to pour my heart out to her. I told her that I was done with drugs and begged her to help me. I really was done this time. She told me that the program started with an introductory center of up to 6 months in Fresno. Then the girls get sent to Dover, Pennsylvania, where the main portion of the program is. It was over a year commitment. So this is a long-term program. This is no joke. This is 6 months here, and then you go across the United States from California to Pennsylvania. There is no leaving the program and just coming back to the West Side and getting your drugs. This is serious. It was over a year commitment. After that, the girls commit to an additional 6 months. So 2 years now. Now we're talking 6, 1, and 6. At another intro center of your choice. So there was Fresno, there was Chicago, New York, Maryland, and then Pennsylvania. You could stay at Pennsylvania. Then they successfully complete the program and graduate. Basically, I had 2 options. It was either the program or prison for the next 2 years, if not more. So I was thinking I still had just 2 years, but I knew I was in trouble for maybe like a year, maybe a year more, you know. I don't know. Still, I was in some serious trouble. So I took the deal the lady offered and accepted the program. She said, okay, I'll be there in court and fight to get you into this program. I can't make any promises, but I will be there. I can promise you that much. I didn't know that lady at all. I didn't know her from Adam. I trusted her, though. It was an opportunity to get me out of the hell I was literally in, literally out of this town and far away to Pennsylvania. So I wasn't even really scared. I mean, it was pretty much like a dream come true. Take me to somewhere else. So we are page 129, subchapter New Horizons. In the days after the lady's visit, which was Donna, until my trial day, I sat in jail and dreamt. I really did. I was excited. I thought about my life over the past few years and how far I had fallen. So I'm starting to reflect, right? I remembered crying out to God to rescue me on that porch that day, crying out to him to help me. Soon visions began to flood my head, filling my mind and soul. There were visions of me as a free young girl again, no longer chained to drugs. It was like seeing a butterfly coming out of its cocoon and learning to fly. The visions were so beautiful and overwhelming that I began to cry with the intensity of love that was overflowing from within me. So I'm experiencing already something completely miraculous again. I felt love, contentment, peace, and true happiness take over my entire body. I hadn't felt that kind of love in a very long time. Not had I seen anything, nor had I seen anything so beautiful. Like I was getting these visions. It was crazy. Like it was just, I can't describe it. Like glyphics in my mind and on like in the air. It was weird. And in my dreams. But I wanted it and I was excited. I was hopefully heading to Pennsylvania, to the East Coast, the other side of the country, somewhere far away from my demons. And most importantly, this time I wasn't afraid of the drug program. Like the other drug programs, I just wanted to appease other people. I really wasn't done using. And I did it to not lose my condo and not lose my cats and not lose my car and, keep everything all hunky-dory, but I really wasn't done. And it took this, it takes what it takes. But so, and most importantly, this time I wasn't afraid of the drug program. I wanted to go. Soon the day of the trial came. I was a nervous wreck because I wasn't sure if I was going to even be given a chance to really go into this program. It was a fight. You weren't promised to go into a program. I was already facing 2 years in prison, so I was in a lot of trouble with the new charges being added. My rap sheet was extensive. I had such a rap sheet, like forgery, fraud, stealing, petty theft, possession, possession, stealing, possession, running from the law, violating probation, dirty test. I did not look good on paper, to say the least. To my surprise, Donna from New Life for Girls was there to represent me. So she showed up. I stood up along with my representation, Donna, and together we got ready for what the judge had to say. My already 2-year prison lid was extended to a 5-year prison sentence. So, that's pretty freaking scary. That's pretty freaking scary. Sorry. Anyways. So I was facing a 5-year prison sentence in a women's prison in Chowchilla. So I'm on my way now to CCWF, which, my birth mom's been, and, here I am. I'm really going to prison. And I'm really, really fucked it up, Cheyenne. You really, now you're 5 years. So I was going to 5 years, right? Chowchilla prison, if I didn't get serious help and stop using drugs. The judge began to listen to the lady, Donna, from the drug program who represented me. The woman informed the judge all about the program dynamics, its commitment to healing and helping girls through the love of God so they can become productive members of society again. I need to get a tissue. Hold on. Whew. I didn't see that coming. Definitely didn't see that coming. But that's why I love podcasting and sharing it, because it is a true story. I'm not making this stuff up. And it's quite miraculous, It's just really miraculous. I think that's probably why I'm so emotional. It's because it's really miraculous. All the miracles, and how close I came. Whew. All right. There's a teardrop on my book. All right. Okay, so let's see here. Where were we? Okay, so Donna's fighting for me, right? Talking to the judge, telling her how much this program is all about really reforming women and taking them to a faraway place, basically, and it really is a real opportunity. So Donna fought hard for me to have the chance to enter into another program. The judge was not happy. So this was the same judge that had been seeing me over and over and over, Judge Cisneros. And she was done. She was done. This was down in the basement of the courthouse. It was called PCDC Drug Court, and it was a whole system about trying to keep drug addicts and drug offenders from going to prison. They wanted it was a reformative type justice that was really starting to launch, and she didn't want to send me to prison because she knew that it wasn't going to be really reformative. And she really believed in me, but she was pissed. She was pissed. Like I had lied to her. Like I had played it, and I hurt her because we had became like, she just really believed in me. She really did. And this was the biggest disappointment. She didn't want to send me to prison. So the judge wasn't happy with me and looked me straight in the face. She lectured me for the final time. Cheyenne, this is your last and absolute final chance. You leave New Life for Girls, I promise you, you will go to Chowchilla prison and you will not have, for 5 years. For 5 years, there is not going to be any opportunity of an early release. Pretty serious. 5 long years in prison. I knew the seriousness of the situation, but I was elated with my visions of Pennsylvania. I looked at Donna, the lady who fought for me, and thanked her profusely. She just smiled at me because she knew, apparently God, the Spirit told her, right? I don't know, but I'm getting visions too, and let's go. By then, I was feeling much better. Like I wasn't as dope sick or anything like that. I'm feeling good, I'm able to stand and have strength again, and had become somewhat acquaintances with all of them. What does that mean? I was feeling much better. I don't know. Maybe that's the people back when I went back to my cell. I'm sure that's what that means. It's not really clear. By then, I was feeling much better, had become somewhat acquaintances with all of them. That must be the girls that I went back to in the cell. I was so excited that I was actually going somewhere because sorry, I have to turn off the air. I was so excited that I was actually going somewhere beautiful and that it was going to save me for once. I really believed that I was on my ticket out. In February of 2005, 20 years ago, woo! I was released from jail where Dee Dee came to pick me up and take me to her home. For the first thing I did was take a shower, borrow her clothes because mine were dirty from when I was arrested. So when you're released from jail, you get all your stuff back. You get the clothes you were arrested in, the same everything, your jewelry, your money, your cell phone, everything's given back to you. Some people say the guards steal from them, but nobody stole my stuff. So I don't know. So you get all that stuff back. So you have to get dressed back in your clothes you were arrested in. So I got that off of me. I jumped in the shower. I ate a delicious lunch that she had made for me. All of my belongings were gone. So Mark and I, we packed up everything that we thought was the most valuable. And it's amazing that I still have some of the things from that apartment with him together. And I mean, my parents, they saved it. Like the photos of Chester and Smiles, the photos of Mojo, Jennifer, like there's my journals, like it's just crazy. It's crazy. It's beautiful. But a lot of that stuff was in our truck because we packed the truck, all the sides. I did all the packing, and so that we could sleep in the middle, and then our kitty cat, and then we would jump in the front of the truck because he had bought a camper shell, and so we were living in the back of the truck, and oh my God, whatever. So because the cops raided us, basically, it was in wintertime when we got caught, the windows were left open, and so the car sat in a lot, and nobody came to claim it, and it got rained in, and all of our stuff got ruined. All of our stuff got destroyed and trashed. So like I'm saying, it's crazy that I still have some of the stuff that, is important to me. So all of my belongings were gone. So I had nothing. I had nothing. I'm starting over. And all I had were the clothes on my back. Literally, that's all I had. All I had. We spent some time together, but soon she had to take me to New Life for Girls. So she got me out of jail. The judge releases me from jail. You have to go through all the processing, and then you leave the jail. And so I'm at her house showering, but I got a report to the program. I wasn't nervous. I was actually very excited. She let me call my parents to tell them where I was and going and where they could find me. So I gave them a quick phone call, said, "Hey, I got caught. I'm on my way to a program." And by this time they didn't believe anything of me. I was pretty much done. Like they were like, "Okay, all right. Bye, Cheyenne." I tried to tell them that I was going away to Pennsylvania to get help, but they were tired of all the false promises and drug programs that the news was nothing different to them. Why was it going to work when it hadn't worked previously? I gave them the contact information and told them that I would write to them once I was out of the blackout phase. So most rehabs have like a blackout phase where they don't let you talk to anyone. All drug programs put patients through a blackout phase, which lasts for 2 weeks, sometimes longer, and allows the patients to go through withdrawals from their drugs. So it's time to just separate from all that distraction, and you need to get your head straight. And it helps them get situated into the program without the distractions. Patients do not get any privileges, including any kind of contact with anyone. My parents appreciated the call, and I hung up the phone. I could detect the fear and disappointment in their voices, but there was also love and hope. So, what time is it? Okay. We are on page 132, subchapter Beginnings. Much to my surprise, the program was in a beautiful, grand Victorian 2-story house, similar to the transitional house where Mark and I had moved into after CAP. We had moved into a similar kind of really big Victorian house with like the front porch, because Fresno has a huge history, and all of that is like the original houses when like some of Fresno was started. It was gorgeous and had a charm that I immediately fell in love with. Upon entering the front door, there was a large foyer. So a large foyer is like an entrance, like it's a room, like you walk into, and then you go to the living room, and you go to the dining room, and then you go to another room. But the foyer is like the little, you come through the door. With a huge staircase. So right when you walked in the place, the foyer, there was a staircase going right up that led upstairs. To the left was a huge living room. So downstairs, to the left was a huge living room with lots of couches, a big TV, and large windows. To the right was a grand dining room with a massive table in the middle. The kitchen sat off from the dining room, so there was a little door. You went to the kitchen. And then there was a laundry room back there too. Again, all big old windows further in the back. In the middle was a tiny bathroom. So it had like in the kitchen, you could go into this little hallway and then to a little bathroom. And a closet for linens and food storage. So there was like linens and all the shelving and storage space. And then there was a basement too. There was a basement right there. You had to pull up the door and you could go down. It was creepy down there. Off the living room was a library of books on shelves. Like it had wall-to-wall books on shelves that spanned ceiling to wall-to-wall. Yeah, wall-to-wall, ceiling to floor, along with a large table for reading and studying. So all these books were like Christian books, spiritual-based books, authors who would write only that type of genre, a lot of God, a lot of religion, a lot of Christianity type stuff. I mean, poems, but they were old. They were really old books. But I read a lot. That's all I did. Well, that's all we could do, but I loved it. In fact, that's how I coined my live vertically. My live vertically that you see on my social media, live vertically is a tag that I found in a book that I was reading. An intro was this little tiny book. And the guy was talking about the author was talking about living vertically, spiritually, and not being controlled by monetary things like your car, the boyfriend, the husband, the job, the TV, the cell phone, the beauty, whatever it is. That's all like temporary and it's limited. But if you live vertically, spiritually, and keep your alignment with the higher power above, whatever that is for you, then you will receive like the blessings and the good fortune and the path forward. And it was just this mindset. It was a mindset of just keeping your mindset and your focus like vertically. And so I was like, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So there's that. That's a side note. Sorry. Okay. So we're talking about the book, the library. Okay, so from that room, a door led from that room into the backyard. So you could walk through the backyard, which also that library had windows. It was a beautiful house. Upstairs, let's see. So a door led from that room into the backyard. So upstairs, now we're going upstairs. Upstairs were the bedrooms, 3 large rooms and 1 shared bathroom. So there was a staircase that went up, and then there was a banister all the way, right? And there was a room, and then down the rest of the banister, another room that had also all windows upstairs too. Beautiful, big, beautiful windows. Okay, so on one side upstairs, there were 2 bedrooms filled with bunk beds to house 4 girls in one room and 6 girls in another. So there was a 4-girl, then a 6-girl. All bunk beds, against all the walls. Windows. It was really cool. You got to have a bunk bed right by the window. It was my favorite. Okay, a total of 10 female students could live there. So 10, I'm a student, 10 of us. As I walked around the house and learned the rules, I felt so lucky and fortunate to be a part of this program. The other bedroom upstairs was where the house manager slept while on duty. So there was also a house manager that stayed in our house that in case she did anything funny or tried to sneak out or do anything wrong, that house manager, there was a round the clock shift house manager who would work like a 6-hour shift, and then the next person would take over 6-hour shift and then whatnot. But we were constantly monitored. So where the house manager slept while on duty. The place was massive with a peaceful backyard that was surrounded by trees and a large garage. Another big Victorian house sat on the same property where the staff of approximately 5 women lived. So we were the students in the student house. A staff would come over, sleep in that bedroom, but then she really lived over next door where a bunch of other staff lived. So these were women who had gone through the program already. They had some time sober and successful, and then now they're staying and giving back and being staff. Okay, so let's see. The garage was filled with bins and bins of clothes, shoes, jewelry, makeup, soaps, towels, and hair products that had been donated from churches. This program had so much stuff donated, and it was good, beautiful stuff. So it was to help clothe girls like myself who had nothing. So here I am going into the program. Dee Dee's dropped me off. They're getting me acquainted. They realize I don't have any clothes or anything with me, no hygiene, nothing, just from what the jail gave me and what's on my back. So then they got me settled a little bit, and then they let me go into the garage with the staff, and they let me pick out dresses and skirts and shoes and slippers and sleep clothes and underwear and bras and hair products and a dryer and a brush and, all that stuff that you don't realize is so valuable. So I got all of that. So I was like, wow. It was to help girls like myself. I was amazed by all the donations. I was also allowed to shop in the garage for clothes, supplies that I desperately needed. I was basically starting from scratch. It was very humiliating, but I was still grateful. It was very, very daunting. Very daunting, to say the least, to go through something like that, to not have anything and literally start over. Then I was told the rules of the program. The rules included strict guidelines such as only 7 minutes in the shower. How many of you can finish your whole entire body in 7 minutes? I do take fast showers still, but not 7 minutes. So you have to wake up for prayer before breakfast. So you get up, you have to shower, get ready, get down for prayer. Chores. So then you have breakfast. Then after breakfast is chores, which chores were like random things around somebody who could be dishes or clearing the table or drying dishes or laundry or, mopping or sweeping or, all that stuff. Then more prayer, then lunch, more chores, classes, which classes like literally you sat in at desks. Well, not desks. Yeah, I know we sat around the table in the library. But yeah, we took classes and studied the Bible. We studied the Bible and scriptures. Then more prayer. And what I mean by prayer is like literally 30 minutes quiet, kneeling down, kneeling down with your butt on the floor, kneeling over the couch or something, and kneeling and like praying. Some of us were sleeping. All right, and then dinner, then our studies, because you had tests, so you had to study just like college. It was just like school. Then more prayer. And then lights out for bed. Oh my God, that was the hardest, was prayer before bed. Like, whoever tells you to just sit in prayer for 20 minutes or something, you're going to fall asleep. Maybe that was their point. But they would check on you and they would like wake you up and be like, you can't be sleeping. And I'm like, oh my God, I've already prayed 5 times. I was to learn how to cook. So they taught you how to cook a little bit. It wasn't the healthiest, but then they taught us how to sew. That was cool. I still sew some stuff. If something breaks or whatever, I'll sew it. Which I thought was cool. I put that in there. The only thing we were allowed to read was the Bible or things related to God. So it had to be something spiritually based or Christian based or the Bible. King James. The only thing we were allowed to watch on TV were Christian channels. So Christian music, Christian channels. We could only listen to Christian music, especially we were able to have Walkmans and CD players. That was still happening. We didn't have iPods then yet. We only had Walkmans and CD players, tapes and CDs. Hey, you remember that? TD Jakes was really popular. We were watching TD Jakes. TD Jakes is now very successful film producer. Let's see. We were discouraged from looking out the windows too much. Yeah, they didn't want us looking out the windows because they didn't want us to like romanticize and miss what was out there. They really wanted us to focus and not be distracted. But I looked at the trees because I was there so long. I would watch trees go from like fall because I was arrested and in the program in the winter. But I would watch the trees go from like barren and then bloom into beautiful, full on trees with flowers and berries and stuff. So that entertained me. I wasn't necessarily watching the hobo or the drug deal that was going on across the street because the program wasn't in the best of areas. It was down in the downtown area off of Stanislaus and Broadway. Stanislaus and Broadway area. Not a good area. So they discouraged us from looking outside. We had to ask permission to do everything. We had to ask permission to go outside. We had to ask permission to go into the study. We had to tell them where we were going. We had to ask if we could go out on the front porch. We had to ask permission for everything. Even if we wanted to go outside to the backyard, it was quite difficult to adjust at first. One day, I asked the house manager if someone could check on my cat, Mojo. So I'm still like in the first 30 days and I'm worried about my cat. I explained that I only had 30 days to put him up for adoption or he could be euthanized. To my amazement, they allowed me to a special pass off the property to go to the animal shelter. They really did. That was so sweet. And actually, Donna went with me because she was such an animal lover. She loved animals. She's like, oh no, we're not going to bail on that cat. So with the help of staff, which was Donna, it was just her and I, we drove to the shelter where I was allowed to visit Mojo. He instantly recognized me, jumping onto my chest and onto my shoulder. He didn't want to let go. Oh my God. He did not want to let go. And either did I. I was given a few short minutes with Mojo where I hugged him and apologized to him for what had happened. I kissed him and said goodbye with tears streaming down my cheeks. Then I signed the papers for Mojo to be put up for adoption and not be euthanized. Then I had to go back to the program. As hard as that was for me to do, I was so grateful that I was even given a chance to say goodbye. Hopefully, I gave him a new home that was better and healthier for him. So that was really hard. But you know what? I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it just to ease your mind. Mojo did get adopted and he did get a good home. So that ended well. So I think I'm going to stop here at 7:57 and we're going to get into more when I start to focus on the program and all that the program took me through, because I wasn't easy to succumb to the program. I had a hard time. I missed Mark very much. I didn't really necessarily want to use or anything like that or escape the program or run from the program. I really wanted to stay, but I just went through my own shit of, that you go through, the stuff that you face. You're starting to have emotions. You're clean for the longest time you've been in a long time. So your brain is starting to come back alive. Your cells, your reactions, your emotions, especially your emotions. So because you stuffed all that emotions with drugs. So I think I'm going to pause because that's a good time to pause. I've already cried. I don't need to cry anymore. So we will see each other. We will see each other next Tuesday, the 18th, at 7 p.m. We are going to continue chapter 4, probably. I don't think we'll finish on the 25th. The 25th is around Thanksgiving, so I apologize for that, but there's recording. And then we're just going to stay on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. I kind of like it. I hope you all do too. Unless I interview someone, that'll be at Saturdays at the CMAX studio. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this session together. You're not alone if you do struggle with a drug addiction. There is always hope. There is always another day that can promise you miracles that you never thought were possible, prayers that you wished for to be answered, and they finally are answered, a new path set before you. But just don't ever give up. Don't ever give up on yourself. Life is hard. It's going to be hard. It was not promised to be easy, but that's what gives you strength and something to compare with. Because if it was all good, then what would you have to compare it with? And the bad times they're not fun, but they're necessary to develop your character, who you are, what you don't want to become. It shows you how that there is an opposite to not being just all glorified life and everything's all hunky-dory. All those hunky-dory people probably have some issues too. They just don't talk about it. But here I am talking about it, and I'm glad that you're here with me. So I won't hold you hostage anymore. Support me on Amazon. Buy my book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Google. You can buy it on any kind of platform, really. It's available on all kinds of platforms. And then my podcast. I'm also on TikTok, Instagram, at Live Vertically, all that good stuff. So good night, y'all. See you next Tuesday.